Hello and welcome. This is Craig Micallef bringing you the 2024 ValueCapper Belmont Stakes Rant. And with me today, as usual, is Bob Harris and Sam Meola. Gentlemen, how are you?
Very good. Good to see you, Craig. Good to see you, Sam.
Hi, Craig. Good to be back, gentlemen.
Great. All right. So, as everybody knows, this year's Belmont Stakes will actually be run at Saratoga, a interesting turn of events as they do renovations at Belmont Park. And I'm also getting word from our weather forecast that there's going to be a significant amount of rain, or at least a significant chance of rain, not just Saturday, but over the next 3 days leading up to the race. So don't know if that's actually going to change any of our opinions on this race, but Bob, would you like to go first and let us know your thoughts?
Sure. I I made some changes to the race. I'm not thrilled at all about the Belmont. It's going to be a recreational bet, as most of these classic races turn out to be. First thing I did, Craig, was I saw the highly pressured, unpressured scenario. I just wanted to take a peek at neutral and just settled on that sort. Um, I've got no idea how this thing is going to run. So it just kind of an unbiased sort made me more comfortable. I did make two form cycle changes. I opened Mystic Dan's form cycle all the way open. Most of these horses have got their form cycle all the way open. Um, the last race was in the mud. The race before that doesn't even have a number. And that's where ValueCapper kind of cut things off. I wanted to be fair to the horse. I mean, the horse did win the Kentucky Derby, so I just opened it up just to see where he would end up, and it kind of puts him in the mix there a little bit. Not a standout, not a dog, just kind of in the mix where I expect to see him. And then the other change I made, I need to see my notes again there real quick. Um, the
I believe
wine
that's
steward. I did exclude the May 28th race of last year. It was a 5 furlong race, as I remember. Just stood out a little bit as aberrant to me. So I took that out. Didn't change things a whole lot, but bumped up the VCP a little bit. And that's kind of where I'm at. I mean, Mind Frame, who's up there at the top, I did a little research on the horse because I'm trying to think, well, why is this horse who looks pretty solid? Why didn't they race him in the Derby or the Preakness? And really couldn't find a whole lot. The owner said, "Oh, we wanted to give him time to develop and whatnot." So I don't know if he was a smaller horse or,
you can see he was looks like he was foaled in May, so possibly he's probably one of the
okay,
younger foals. That's
okay,
certainly
that makes
possible.
sense. I didn't see that. Yeah, so uh, certainly talented. I wouldn't let the lack of exposure in stakes races scare me off. But we're not going to get 7-1 on that horse, so it's now going to become a decision. Is anybody else in the arc worth a bet at 15-1 or higher? That's kind of where I'm at, and we'll see what happens. Um, the VCP is a little higher on some of these, but anytime I can get double odds, I'm happy. It's I don't worry too much about some of the anti-value, like very hard and hard after a layoff on stakes horses. They're champions. They know how to run. If you look at their past performances, you'll see hard races and then they come right back and win. So that doesn't disturb me too much. So 15-1 on anybody in the arc there. I will consider win bets and some exotics. That's about all I got on that race.
Okay. All right, Sam. Did you want me to reset these settings?
Sure. My analysis is pretty straightforward. I didn't do too much work in this race. I also came off that 5 furlong line on May 28th on the wine stored. And I think he only dropped one spot, so I was good with that. That's where you'll see in my notes the MPT designation. So he's fine after coming off that line. I don't know what to make of the 10. He's certainly impressive. Um, off those two lines. He probably didn't have the stake points to get into the Derby, would be my guess. But would have to be used in any exotics, I would think. What I did do is go back at Saratoga at mile and a quarter and looked at the track profile, and I think last year there were around 7 races or so, and they were all forwardly placed. I think at the second call, the furthest the winner came from was about 4 lengths. So I compared with that information based on my arc and decided that I'm odds allowing. I want to play the race for fun, so I'll probably just say double digits or higher. I'm looking at a 2-horse win bet here, the 4 and the 5. The wine stored is going to be forwardly placed, certainly fits well with the track profile. And also this 5-horse, I think, is a little interesting as well. Who is also my other VIP. He's also likes to run close to the pace, doesn't need the lead. So those are my 2 possible win bets in the race, and I'll look into some exactas around those 2 horses.
And you're not concerned about this hard after a layoff anti-value. You kind of look with Bob and his opinion on that.
Yeah, in a race like this, I kind of have to. Being a recreational play, I kind of overlooked the anti-value.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same way with these high class horses. That's generally what they do is they lay off and then they come back and have a hard race and then they lay off and have a hard race because they're good horses. So
Right, exactly.
so yeah, and my thinking is pretty much the same as your guys's. Mind frame is certainly the interesting horse because he's lightly raced, but he's going to be bet, and I just really don't see anything of value that's going to not likely to pop off the screen here. I'll keep an eye on. Obviously, we'll watch it and probably have something on the race. Just I'll probably be like you, Bob. If there's something that's double-digit odds that looks interesting, it might be a small recreational bet, but that would be the limit for me. So it will be interesting though, from a fan's perspective, just watching a race at Saratoga. The Belmont at Saratoga.
Yeah, maybe
Very
the only
interesting.
time we see something like that in our lifetime.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, I think they will. I think they schedule it for next year. I'm not sure.
oh, is that right? They're gonna do it
But
next
I
year?
think it's a 2-year project at Belmont. I might be wrong on that.
Okay.
And knowing how some of these big projects work, it might be 10 years. So when they actually finish it. So we'll see.
Gotcha. Yeah.
All right. So with that out of the way, as we always do, we want to take a look at some of the other races that are going on Saturday, which may provide more opportunity from a value capping perspective. And so we'll start off with the Delaware Third. And it looks like, Bob, you were the one that checked this race.
Yeah, my notes on this one, and I'm okay at 8-1. Smooth line, big colonial numbers, but the Gulfstream race 2 back is still very competitive. If we can see the past performances, you can see what I'm talking about there. I know we've had some discussion about these colonial lines, Craig, and they look funny, but the horses run back to them. So I'm just going to trust them. I still like to see something on a track that doesn't look funny to me to confirm that the horse is still in the ballpark. So that second race back is right there. It's where was I going to go here? Yeah, I think that's pretty much all I had on that. They're pretty clear cut races that I
Right.
made. Yeah, there's nothing. I mean, it's 5 horses down, but you're talking about the difference between 4-1 and 5-1. So
Right.
that's virtually no difference. So, the 5 furlong races on the turf come up neutral in ValueCapper because there's so many unknowns. But I do remember, I think in acupressure, this horse made a nice move in the second call.
Yep.
Yeah, that caught my eye too. You can see he kind of hangs in the mix there early and then makes a really nice move in the second call. So that's what I'll be looking for, and see if we can't get 8-1 on that horse.
Okay. Yeah, that definitely looks interesting. All right. So let's move on to Saratoga 6. And this is Sam.
Yes. Let's see if I can. Saratoga 6, bear with me as I get there. Okay, this race was what, the Suburban, another 1.25 mile event. I mean, I went right to the one horse here. Good numbers. The target was the 8, Ben Dug. I didn't have a problem with that. It was a nice, low, conservative target. And so when I took a quick peek at the 1, he certainly can run that and then some. Second off the layoff, reversing 2x2. Saw some things that I like, very high on the line. So I would be interested on this animal in a mid-price situation. One other thing I noticed on my note here, we do expect the track to be very sloppy or wet, and if that's the case, then I'd have to take a look at this 5 horse who's undefeated on a wet track. But my main play in here would be the 1, and I'd consider the 5 as a secondary play.
And it should be interesting to see that since it's the 6th race and it's a 1.25 miles, see how maybe the track plays, if there's anything interesting that comes out of that, and how it may relate to the Belmont.
It's a good point.
All right. Louisiana 3rd. Bob?
Another no nonsense race for me. I kind of like these. See my notes, reversing to the possible favorite, who's got a little bit of possible anti-value. We don't know. He's looks a little hard. And a repeat of second back is good enough to win this race. So I don't have to go too far back. Came off the layoff, ran a good race, and maybe regressed a little bit that second start back. And if we can get something like that May 8th performance, I think 5-1, 9-2, 5-1 is certainly plausible on this horse, and there's just not a lot of work to be done here.
Yeah, in fact, you can actually see these are my notes here. I was actually looking at this race considering it.
Okay, yeah.
So yeah, I totally agree. It's one of those straightforward races that horse on top, the reversal winner, was 4 lengths back in the last race. The reverser was only a length and 3/4 further back. So you're less than 2 lengths. And if the contention line and the morning line, if these are pretty accurate to what actually happens, and you're getting this kind of a discrepancy in the odds, and these horses were less than 2 lengths apart, then that's textbook reversal protocol. So yeah.
We'll keep our fingers crossed, see what happens.
Yeah. All right, Indiana 8.
Oh, is this me again? All right. Urban Breeze. Another one that wasn't too complicated. I believe this horse was shipping in from maybe Churchill or something, as I remember. Yeah. So coming in a little softer company, still non-winners of 1, but obviously the horses that he's going to be facing are a little softer. Third start off the layoff. That last, it's a highly pressured race. That last race with that 83 third fraction, sometimes when you're taking things off of short races and turf races in particular, you can get some inflated third fractions. But when I looked at the other L horse, which I think was the 3, the third fraction was what we got there, so 79. So that's, and then when I went back and look at Bourbon Breeze's races in dirt sprints, We got 81, another 81. He's got an 81 from that Churchill internal. It's a one turn internal. So I was comfortable that the horse could hang. His numbers look fine. You know, he's got a 163.2 back there, a 161 back there. So I forget what I put for the odds, but whatever I jotted down there. What did I say? Okay, at 10 to
10 to
1.
1.
Okay. I probably took that from the neutral sort. Can we check that real quick?
Yep.
Yeah, 10 to 1. Yeah, I still am nervous with highly pressured races. Michael and I joke about this all the time. I cut my teeth racing at Del Mar, where if you weren't in the top 3 or 4, you had no shot coming for home. And he cut his teeth at Belmont, where that was like death. You wanted to be mid pack or in the back of the pack most of the time. So, you know, I still get a little nervous when I see highly pressured races. So I tend to bump them up a little bit more on the VCP, but 10 to 1 would make me very happy with that play.
Yeah, that looks really interesting. All right, Gulfstream 8. I believe this is me. So this was designated as a highly pressured race, and that's a good segue into this race. It's designated highly pressured, and I think there will definitely be some pressure. I'm not convinced it's super duper highly pressured, but I do think you want to close in this race, and we'll take a look here. But my key horse here is probably going to be the 5, who is anti-value countdown. So he's got 2 horses above him. One coming off a layoff, another one with a possibly conflicted running style, given it's a highly pressured race. The 5 also has a nice T1, T2 pattern. And as you can see here, it's 2 races back and a nice race. Most recent race wasn't bad to the half and then kind of relaxed the finish. You can see highly pressure. You can see the 1 will have some speed. I think the 4 is going to have some speed, most likely, and a few others. So there's some pressure in here. And I do like this. The 5 is not a deep closer, but can, you know, press, which I think is what you're going to need in this race. And, you know, just basically it's the anti-value is the number one thing that drew my attention to this race. You know, you've got 2 horses above who, you know, the 2 is a reversal winner and is, you know, you could argue that maybe this horse is not strictly need to lead either. But I also look, this is the second race off a layoff. You know, is this a hard race? Maybe. But 6 to 5, if this horse goes up at 6 to 5, as the morning line is claiming, I will definitely want to bet against this horse. So that's pretty much it.
Can I see the neutral sort on this race, Craig?
Sure. Look at
Yeah, so the 5 doesn't move at all. So even if it tends to run a little earlier than expected, that 5's still a very solid play. I like that one. Yeah.
And then we've got Woodbine 9, which I think is also me. Got a couple of super horses in here. I think the one I'm concentrating on is the number 10. Again, anti-value. It's we have an anti-value countdown portfolio, and that's one of my favorites, just to kind of look for horses that are towards the top, but have horses above them who have anti-value. I like races where I not only have something going for the horse I want to bet on, but there's something I want to bet against as well. I just really like those types of races. So in this case, we've got the 10 Super Sunday, again, anti-value. And this one was a little, I might be getting a little too cute with this. I'll be honest with you, but today's race is a 5 furlong race on the turf. And this horse is 2 for 5 at that distance. It's been running more on the synthetic recently. And also, I think just as importantly, the horses above him on the line they're pulling the numbers from the synthetic. They have not, now this horse has only run once on the turf, but, you know, they're going to be betting him based on the synthetic form as opposed to the turf form. And the same thing with this 3 horse here, who's the other morning line favorite. Again, hasn't really shown much on the turf. And to me, it just looks like you got a horse here who's second off a layoff, who's a T3, Didn't show, it wasn't a bad race, I don't think. His first off a layoff. It was a pretty even race. And is now going into a distance and a surface where it's going to like it, I think. It's got numbers that are competitive. If you go back to these 5 furlong turf races back last summer at Woodbine. So, you know, if I think I put 10-1 on this one. Now this one is lower than the VCP. I felt a little bit stronger about this one, and I felt like I think it's 11 runners in this race, so 10-1 is random. I feel like this horse has got a much better chance than random to win this race, so I will do that on occasion. If I will sometimes go I'll take a little bit less than the VCP but I will still insist on, you know, a random price or better. So
Yeah, I like it.
It's funny you mentioned that, because as you were talking about the race and making the argument, I was thinking I like this 10 a lot more than 16-1, and I kind of decided on 12-1 in my head, so we're in the same ballpark. But yeah, that's a good example of a horse you can maybe cheat a little bit on the VCP, because it's definitely better than it looks.
yeah, agreed. All right, well, I think that's it. We've already talked about the Belmont. So in closing, I think it's fair to say that the Belmont will be an interesting race to watch, but probably not going to be offering a lot of value capping potential. Would that be fair to say, guys?
Yeah, I'll put something small on it, but it's going to be recreational.
All right.
Yeah,
Yep.
I agree. If the wine horse can run a good race, we might have a glass of wine in its honor for the wine store.
Yep. Well, it'll be interesting. Like I said, we'll be watching, but probably not a whole lot of money other than a few bucks. So with that, I think we can close it out. And I just want to thank everybody again for watching this. And I want to thank you, Bob and Sam, for your thoughts on this again. And until the next video, I just like to say, let the bet make you.
Bye, everybody.